is a trait lusted after by many. Sometimes it can seem lofty, out of reach, and unobtainable. For some it is easily obtained. No one knows the secret to happiness. It is simply an emotion that shapes all of our lives. My presentation today centers on the role of happiness in life, as most of you likely found out how happiness is no laughing matter. On the contrary, it's serious business. For most of us today, it's the ultimate goal, and it's been the recurrent theme throughout the ages. Even in America's Declaration of Independence, a formal political document, we find a reference to the pursuit of happiness. In spite of that reference, Thomas Jefferson did not know what the pursuit of happiness was all about. I don't pretend to have knowledge either. Nevertheless, by looking at a topic from various angles, I hope to shed some light on it. I don't think it's better to try to come up with grips with this elusive subject than to abandon it altogether. The French philosopher Jean de la Bruyere once said, "For man there are only three important events: birth, life, and death. But he is unaware of being born, he suffers when he dies, and he forgets to live." Obviously, de la Bruyere was a rather tragic view of humanity. He wasn't exactly an optimist. He didn't enjoy the intermission, shall we say. My objective, however, is to concentrate all about the integral in an effort to better understand what happiness is all about. Elusive or not, happiness is something most of us never give up longing and searching for as long as we live. It's a theme that continues to preoccupy us. Indeed, it's so central that we might say that desiring happiness gives us a reason for living. For me, trees have always been the most penetrating creatures. I revere them when they live in tribes and families, in forests and groves, and even more I revere them when they stand alone. They are lonely persons, not like hermits who have stolen away out of some weakness, like great solitary men like Beethoven and Nietzsche. In their highest boughs the world rustles, their roots rest in infinity, but they do not lose themselves there, and they struggle with all the force of their lives for one thing, to fulfill themselves according to their own laws, to build up their own form, and to represent themselves. Nothing is holier. Nothing is more exemplary than a beautiful, strong tree. When a tree is cut down, it reveals naked death wounds. One can read its whole history in the luminous inscribed disc of its trunk. In the ring of its years, it scars all the trouble, all the suffering, all the sickness, all the happiness, prosperity stand truly written. The narrow years and the luxurious years, the attacks withstood and the storms endured. And every young farm boy knows that the hardest and noblest wood has the narrowest rings, that high on the mountains and continuing danger, the most indestructible, the strongest, the ideal trees grow. Trees are sanctuaries. Whoever knows how to speak to them, whoever knows how to listen to them, can learn the truth. They do not preach learnings and precepts, they preach undeterred by particulars, the ancient law of life. A tree, a kernel and hidden in me, a spark, a thought, I am life, eternal life. The attempt and the risk and the eternal mother took me is unique, the form of veins in my skin, unique, the smartest play of leaves in my branches and the smallest scar on my bark. I was made to form and reveal the eternal in my smallest special detail. A tree says, my strength is trust. I know nothing about my fathers. I know nothing about the 1,000 children that every year spring out of me. I live out the secret of my seed to the very end, and I care for nothing else. I trust that God is in me. I trust my labor is holy. Out of this trust I live. When we are stricken and cannot bear our lives any longer, then a tree has something to say. Be still, look at me. Life is not easy, life is not difficult. Those are Tritus thoughts. Let God speak within you, and your thoughts will grow silent. You're anxious because your path leads away from mother and home. But every step and every day leads you back again to the mother. Home is neither here nor there. Home is within you, or home is nowhere at all. A longing to wander tears my heart when I hear trees rustling in the wind at evening. If one listens to them silently sing for a long time, this longing reveals its kernel, its meaning. It is not much a matter of escaping from one's suffering, though it may seem so. It is longing for home, for a memory of mother, for the new metaphors of life. It leads home. Every path leads homeward. Every step is a birth. Every step is death. Every grave is mother. So the tree rustles in the evening when we stand knees deep before our own childish thoughts. Trees have long thoughts, long breathing, restful, just as they have longer lives than ours. They are wiser than we are, as long as we do not listen to them. But that when we have learned how to listen to trees, then the brevity and quickness of the childlike hastiness of our thoughts achieve an incomparable joy. Whoever has learned how to listen to trees, no longer wants to be a tree. He wants nothing except what he is. That is home, that is happiness. But what is happiness except the simple harmony between man and the life he leads?